On a June afternoon in 2009, the king of pop fell silent. At 2:26 p.m. Pacific, less than 3 hours after a frantic 911 call, Michael Jackson was pronounced dead at UCLA Medical Center. The official finding would later read, acute propofol intoxication, an anesthetic usually reserved for operating rooms, not bedrooms. The man who gave the world moonwalks had, according to the coroner, been put to sleep in his own bed. Los Angeles at dawn, the Holmby Hills rental tucked behind hedges, quiet but for the hum of air conditioning and the distant city. Michael, preparing for a triumphant return to the stage. This Is It was sleepless. For months he had struggled with insomnia, a private war waged in the margins of rehearsals and interviews. The plan was to be in London in weeks. The rehearsed steps glowed on video monitors. The promises of a comeback were everywhere. Yet in room after room of management meetings, one question kept echoing. How do you make a man who can't sleep show up and perform like a god? That night and into the morning, a string of sedatives were given. According to investigators and later testimony, Michael received medications intended to calm him, pills and injections that, together, would create a toxic cocktail. The man entrusted with those medical choices was Dr. Conrad Murray, a cardiologist with a private practice who had taken a job as Michael's personal physician. In the small world behind the mansion's gates, sleep was currency, and it would cost everything. The morning of June 25th carried an ordinary domestic terror, an emergency call. At 12:21 p.m., an unidentified man from the home dialed 911. Paramedics arrived within minutes. They found Murray performing CPR. They found Michael unresponsive, not breathing, in cardiac arrest. For 42 minutes, the crews worked. The Ramsey of medical timelines shows a strange pause and a longer knot of time that would later be picked apart in court. Why the delays, what drugs had been administered and when, and why had propofol, an intravenous general anesthetic, been present at all? Paramedics treated Jackson at the scene before racing him to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m. The Los Angeles Times reconstructed those minutes and reported the rescue timeline in harrowing detail. The autopsy was performed quickly. The Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner Coroner's Office concluded that Michael Jackson died of acute propofol intoxication, with several other sedatives contributing. The coroner later classified the death a homicide, an official medical determination that framed what followed. Not an accidental or natural death, but a death caused by another person's actions. The toxicology and autopsy report, dense, clinical, and damning in its language, revealed lethal levels of propofol and benzodiazepines in Jackson's system. But the coroner withheld the full toxicology list for a time, citing ongoing criminal investigation needs. That secrecy fed the rumor mill, left gaps that gossip and conspiracy would rush to fill. In the vacuum of complete public documentation, speculation seeded itself. And in the age of the internet, speculation multiplies like wildfire. Conrad Murray was arrested and charged. Prosecutors accused him of administering propofol in a home setting, of failing to monitor Jackson properly, and of delaying calling for help. At trial, the prosecution painted a picture of gross negligence. A doctor who gave a hospital-grade anesthetic in a bedroom without proper equipment or backup, who left his patient unattended or inadequately supervised, and who, when the crisis arrived, failed to act as a competent clinician would. The defense countered with versions of consent and self-administration. Jackson, a man who sometimes self-medicated and who may have administered or demanded drugs himself. In 2011, a jury convicted Murray of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 4 years but served nearly 2 behind bars before being released for good behavior and prison overcrowding. The conviction established criminal responsibility in a courtroom, but not everyone felt the questions were answered. For many fans, and for some skeptics, the trial was a single chord in a symphony of uncertainty. Pause now for the mechanics. Propofol is powerful. It is an 4 anesthetic that produces rapid unconsciousness, valuable in operating rooms, dangerous outside them. The coroner testified about lethal blood concentrations and about the additive effects of benzodiazepines. Medical experts called to the stand on both sides debated dose, metabolism, and the plausibility of self-administration. Was the dose a single fatal bolus? Or a slow drip? Did Michael self-administer? Did Murray give the injection? Each medical opinion pulled at the seams of the same few documents: the autopsy, phone records, medication logs, and Murray's own notes. A legal case rests on human choices. The prosecution highlighted Murray's actions: bringing a hospital drug into a private bedroom, failing to establish a proper monitoring system, poor record-keeping, and allegedly delaying the 911 call. The defense pointed to Jackson's decades of self-destructive behavior with medications and argued that ultimate responsibility lay with Michael himself. The jury, weighing both narratives, returned a verdict that put legal blame on Murray. But law and mystery are cousins. Law applies a label, mystery leaves doors slightly ajar. There are many theories beyond the court record. I will list them as theories, not as fact. Medical negligence theory: legal finding Dr. Murray's actions amounted to gross negligence. He administered propofol in a non-clinical setting and failed to provide adequate monitoring. This is the official path the criminal justice system followed. Self-administration theory: some doctors and Murray's defense suggested Michael may have self-administered doses at times when he had access or demanded drugs. The defense raised this to create reasonable doubt. Medical experts disagreed about whether the blood concentrations and the clinical situation were consistent with self-administration. Conspiracy theory: murder or foul play. Some fans and fringe researchers alleged that Michael was murdered as part of a plot, by mafia, by music industry rivals, even by high-priced fixers. These theories typically rely on circumstantial anomalies and unverified sources. Mainstream outlets and the courts found no corroborating evidence. Snopes and similar fact-checkers have debunked many of the wilder claims. Each theory tells us more about human need than about Michael. A need to close the book, to make meaning of an abrupt silence, to direct blame outward. The harder the facts are to swallow, the richer conspiracy becomes. If the story left you unsettled, you're not alone. The death of Michael Jackson sits at the crossroads of fame, medicine, and mystery. A tragedy that still sparks questions. If you want a deep dive, I've linked the key sources in the description so you can read the autopsy, trace the trial, and form your own view. If you like this story, please hit like, subscribe AI Storytelling YTS, and ring the bell. We unpack one unresolved mystery each week.